Again, Kelly Krauskopf celebrating a limp dick, one game suspension on a little.
The Indiana Fever and the WNBA league office may have made what many fans are calling one of the biggest mistakes in franchise history, and Caitlin Clark is the one dealing with the consequences. While Clark continues to absorb the physical toll on the court, critics argue that the league's response, including a one-game suspension, falls far short of what the situation deserved. For many supporters, this became the breaking point. It was the moment they decided enough was enough, the moment frustration boiled over, and the moment questions about the league's priorities reached a new level. Welcome back to Rim Run. Today, we're breaking down the turning point that sparked outrage across the basketball world as fans openly criticized the Indiana Fever, the WNBA league office, and the officials they believe failed to protect Caitlin Clark after another game filled with hard contact, physical confrontations, and controversial decisions.
I watched the WNBA in my life until she came on the scene. I don't miss a game.
Let me be completely clear about what is unfolding because many fans believe the full story is not being discussed. Across the Indiana Fever's social media pages, post after post is being flooded with comments from people saying they are finished. Not just disappointed, not simply frustrated, but claiming they are walking away, canceling their support, and turning off the games altogether. According to those reactions, this is not just a handful of online trolls. Many of the comments appear to come from the very audience the league has worked so hard to attract. What makes this moment so significant is the type of fans Caitlin Clark brought into the sport. She didn't just attract longtime basketball supporters. She introduced an entirely new group of viewers who had never watched the WNBA before. They bought tickets, adjusted their schedules, tuned into nationally televised games, and helped push television ratings to levels the league had not experienced in years. Many observers argue that those fans are following Caitlin Clark first and the league second. After the controversy and the league's response, many of those supporters began asking a simple but important question: why should they keep watching? That question carries major implications. This is no longer just about one game or one disciplinary decision. Critics warn that if enough fans lose confidence, the league could face declining television audiences, weaker ticket sales, and growing frustration from its newest supporters. Whether those concerns ultimately become reality remains to be seen, but there is little doubt that this controversy has become one of the biggest challenges the league has faced in recent years.
It was a pivot moment for fans. It's a pivot moment.
And not on the court. In the middle of growing fan frustration, the Indiana Fever's social media team published a promotional post. It wasn't an update on Clark's condition. It wasn't a message addressing the concerns of supporters. Instead, it promoted a partnership with the South Carolina Gamecocks, encouraging fans to buy tickets to the Fever vs. Sparks game and receive an exclusive hat. That decision immediately drew attention. The post collected hundreds of comments, but much of the reaction was overwhelmingly negative. Fans flooded the comment section with complaints, saying there was no reason to attend without Clark, accusing the organization of being out of touch, and criticizing the timing of the promotion. What was meant to be a simple marketing post quickly turned into a public display of fan frustration. For many supporters, the issue wasn't the hat promotion itself. It was what they believed it represented. Critics argued that the organization failed to recognize the mood of its own fan base at a time when emotions were already running high. To them, it reflected a disconnect between the front office and the people buying tickets, filling the arena, and following the team every night. Another major source of frustration was the lack of clarity surrounding Clark's status. Less than a day before tip-off, there was still no official confirmation about whether she would play. Many fans felt they were once again left waiting for information, something they believed had also happened during previous injury updates. That uncertainty only added to the growing criticism directed at the organization. The league's disciplinary response also became part of the debate. Many fans argued that a one-game suspension was not enough, while others believed it was an appropriate decision under league rules. At the same time, some supporters questioned why the Fever organization had not taken a stronger public stance in defense of its franchise player. For those fans, the frustration extended beyond the original incident itself. It became about how both the league and the organization responded afterward, leaving many to question whether enough was being done to protect one of the sport's biggest stars.
Again, Kelly Krauskopf celebrating a limp dick. One game suspension on Elizabeth.
One game. Just one game. That was the league's official response, and for many fans, it immediately became the center of the controversy. Critics argued that the punishment did not match the seriousness of the incident involving Caitlin Clark. Their frustration wasn't directed only at the league office. It also extended to the Indiana Fever, the organization built around Clark as its franchise player and biggest attraction. Many supporters expected the team to take a stronger public stance, and when that didn't happen, they felt disappointed. The bigger debate is about the message that decision sends throughout the league. Many fans believe that if a highly physical incident involving the sport's most recognizable player results in only a one-game suspension, it raises questions about whether the current system is doing enough to discourage similar situations in the future. From their perspective, the issue is no longer about one play or one punishment. It has become a discussion about player protection and accountability across the league. That is why the reaction has been so intense. For many supporters, this controversy represents far more than a single disciplinary decision. They believe the WNBA had an opportunity to reassure fans that player safety remains a top priority, especially at a time when the league is attracting record attention and a wave of new viewers. Instead, many felt the response fell short of those expectations. Whether people agree with that criticism or not, one thing is clear. The decision has fueled an even larger conversation. Fans are now debating what standards the league should set moving forward, how its biggest stars should be protected, and whether this moment will lead to meaningful change or simply become another chapter in an ongoing debate about the future of the WNBA.
I watched the WNBA in my life until she came on the scene. I don't miss a game.
Now let's look at the second part of this controversy, because for many fans the one-game suspension was only part of the problem. The other issue was how the Indiana Fever communicated with its supporters during one of the most emotional moments of the season. While frustration continued to spread across social media, the team published a post celebrating reaching 2 million followers across its platforms, thanking fans for their support. That post immediately became another source of criticism. At the same time that many supporters were expressing disappointment, talking about boycotts, or even saying they planned to unfollow the team, the organization was highlighting a social media milestone. To many fans, the timing felt completely disconnected from what the community was actually feeling. The celebration graphic also featured Caitlin Clark, something many observers quickly pointed out. Critics argued that Clark has been the driving force behind the Fever's rapid growth online, attracting millions of new followers and bringing unprecedented attention to the franchise. While using her image to celebrate that success made perfect sense, many fans questioned whether the organization was showing the same level of support for her when controversy surrounded the team. The reaction in the comments reflected that frustration. Supporters openly reminded the franchise that much of its recent growth has been tied to Clark's popularity, and many argued that those new followers came because of her. For those fans, the message was simple. If the organization wants to celebrate the success Clark has helped create, it also needs to stand behind her when the spotlight shifts from celebration to controversy.
It was a pivot moment for fans. It's a pivot moment.
Many fans believe they understand exactly what is happening. From their perspective, the issue is straightforward. The player they came to watch is not being adequately protected, they feel their concerns are not being heard, and they always have the choice to spend their time and money elsewhere. That is the growing frustration many supporters have been expressing online. What makes this moment different, according to those fans, is that the situation is no longer the same as it was a year ago. During Clark's rookie season, many people were willing to be patient. Everything felt new, exciting, and full of promise, so supporters were more willing to overlook disappointments. Now, many believe that patience has started to wear thin. The fans voicing their concerns are not just casual viewers. They are season ticket holders, loyal supporters who watch every game, and people who have invested both their time and money into following the team. Critics argue that the organization's recent social media posts, including promotional content and milestone celebrations, failed to acknowledge the mood of the fanbase during one of its most controversial moments. To them, the response felt disconnected from the concerns supporters were trying to raise. One comment in particular captured the feelings of many fans. A supporter wrote that they had never watched a WNBA game before Caitlin Clark entered the league, but now they rarely miss one. At the same time, they admitted that could easily change if they no longer felt connected to the product. For many observers, comments like that highlight what is truly at stake. The biggest concern is not simply one controversial incident, but whether the league and the Fever can maintain the trust and enthusiasm of the new audience that Clark has helped bring to women's basketball. That is the concern many fans are raising, and it is the comparison they continue to make online. Their argument is that brands can lose the support of their core audience when they fail to understand why people became loyal in the first place. Supporters believe the WNBA, and particularly the Indiana Fever, are facing a similar challenge. Many of the league's newest viewers came because of Caitlin Clark, and countless comments across social media make that point repeatedly. Critics argue that while fans were voicing those concerns, the organization's public messaging focused on promotional campaigns and milestone celebrations rather than addressing the controversy. For many supporters, that response missed the moment. They have openly said they began watching because of Clark, and some have also said they would stop watching if they no longer believe the league was doing enough to protect its biggest stars. Whether those comments represent a majority of fans is impossible to know, but they have become a major part of the conversation surrounding the league. Looking ahead, many observers believe the next few weeks will be extremely important. If the WNBA wants to restore confidence among frustrated fans, they argue the league must demonstrate consistent officiating and a clear commitment to player safety. Future nationally televised Fever games will likely become an early measure of whether the recent controversies have affected television audiences and overall fan engagement. The Fever organization also faces growing scrutiny. Some supporters have criticized the team's communication, injury updates, and public response during recent controversies, while others have defended the organization and urged patience. Regardless of where people stand, the front office is now under far greater public pressure than it was earlier in the season. At the center of everything remains Caitlin Clark. She has continued to handle the attention professionally, but many fans recognize that every major decision the organization makes will inevitably shape perceptions about the team's future. Supporters believe Clark has become the face of the franchise, and they argue that her popularity has helped transform attendance, television audiences, and national interest in the Fever. Whether that momentum continues will depend not only on Clark's play, but also on how the organization and the league respond to the challenges now facing them. For many fans, this feels like a defining moment. They see it as a test of whether the league can successfully build on the unprecedented attention it has received, or whether continued controversy will overshadow the opportunity created by its newest generation. For many fans, this is no longer just another controversy. They see it as a turning point, the kind of moment that determines whether supporters continue investing in the league or begin walking away. Across Indiana Fever social media pages, countless comments have expressed disappointment, frustration, and even calls for boycotts. Whether those reactions represent the majority of fans is impossible to know, but they have become impossible to ignore. Critics argue that the WNBA was presented with a rare opportunity through Caitlin Clark's arrival. They believe she introduced millions of new viewers to women's basketball, expanded the league's audience, and brought unprecedented attention to the sport. From that perspective, many supporters feel the league should have responded with stronger player protection, more consistent officiating, and clearer accountability whenever controversial incidents occurred. Instead, they believe the response has fallen short of those expectations. Throughout all of the debate, Clark has continued to compete whenever healthy, remaining the league's biggest attraction and one of the most talked-about athletes in professional sports. Many fans argue that the controversy has never been about her performance. Rather, they believe it centers on how the league and the organization have handled the situations surrounding her. They point to communication decisions, disciplinary actions, and public messaging as reasons why frustration has continued to grow. Now the focus shifts to what happens next. Will the WNBA use this moment to rebuild confidence among its growing audience, Or will the criticism continue to overshadow the basketball itself? That question may ultimately determine how the league moves forward. Many supporters say they still want to see the WNBA succeed, but they also believe meaningful changes are needed to maintain the trust of the new fans who have discovered the sport over the past 2 seasons. Whether those concerns translate into long-term changes in viewership or fan engagement remains to be seen, but there is little doubt that this has become one of the defining conversations of the current season.